The return of the Buddha. Dear friends, after many years away from his homeland and countless trials, the Buddha, once Prince Siddhartha of the kingdom of Kapilavatthu, had now become an awakened being, a great spiritual teacher. His return was unlike any ordinary reunion. It was not merely the homecoming of a son to his family, but a sacred moment when the light of the Dharma began to shine once more. Old wounds found a path toward healing, and human hearts opened to a new horizon of insight and compassion. When news spread that the Buddha was returning, the entire city of Kapilavatthu stirred with anticipation. Every street, every rooftop seemed to whisper his name, but no heart trembled more deeply than that of King Shuddhodana, the Buddha's father. Deep within the aging king lingered the memory of the day Prince Siddhartha quietly left the palace, a memory filled with sorrow, regret, and a touch of wounded pride. For years, the king had asked himself, why did his son, the sole heir to the throne, abandon all wealth and power to walk a path of renunciation in search of a truth he could not comprehend? And then, at last, the day arrived. The Buddha returned to his homeland, not adorned in royal robes, but as a simple mendicant monk. His robe was the color of earth, his feet bare, and in his hands he carried an alms bowl. Yet with every step he took, light and unhurried, there was a groundedness and freedom no throne could offer. He did not return as a conqueror, nor as a defeated man, but as someone who had discovered himself and opened a new path for humankind. As the Buddha and his monastic community approached the capital, people streamed out to the roadsides like flowing water. Old friends, distant relatives, familiar and unfamiliar faces alike waited breathlessly for a glimpse of him. But the most poignant reunion of all was with the king, the father who had spent a lifetime loving, hoping for, and suffering because of his extraordinary son. When father and son finally stood face to face, there were no dramatic embraces, no outpouring of accusations, or long explanations. All emotions long held in the heart dissolved into a silent presence filled with love. The king gazed upon his son, now a fully awakened teacher. He no longer saw a young prince, but a being of radiant wisdom, gentleness, and compassion. He wanted to speak, to question, to express his pain, but all of it settled into one glance, overflowing with love and deep respect. Hearing the Buddha's first teachings, the king's heart felt as though it had been gently watered by a stream of deep understanding. No longer did he see his son's departure as a loss. It became a profound blessing. He realized that the child he had raised no longer belonged solely to a royal lineage, but to all beings. He was now a light for the world. The silence between them was not emptiness, but the deep recognition that each must walk their own path. And the greatest love is to let go, to allow those we love to be free in following their true calling. Alongside this moving reunion with his father was another tender moment, the Buddha's meeting with Yasodhara and Rahula. Yasodhara, his former wife, had once shared a deep and loving bond with Siddhartha. For many years, she waited in quiet devotion, raising their son Rahula with unwavering love and strength. The pain of abandonment, the loneliness through long years without her husband, had once torn at her heart. But those very hardships refined her spirit, forging resilience, insight, and boundless compassion. When she heard the Buddha had returned, Yasodhara did not react with blame or bitterness. She stepped forward in silence, her eyes clear, her face serene. All her sorrow had transformed into a peaceful stream of understanding and release. And the Buddha, looking upon her, saw not just a woman from his past, but a noble soul, dignified and unshakable, who had grown through suffering into grace. Rahula, the son who had never known his father, stood quietly beside his mother, eyes wide with emotion. In the Buddha, he did not see merely a parent, but a teacher, a spiritual beacon. With a heart full of faith, he asked to follow his father's path and become ordained, the first young novice of the Sangha. It was not just a continuation of bloodline, but a transmission of wisdom, of the path of awakening that the Buddha had revealed. When once news reached Kapilavatthu that the Buddha was returning, Yasodhara did not harbor blame or resentment. She quietly stepped forward to greet him, her eyes clear and her face peaceful. Over the years, her suffering had transformed into a cool, flowing stream of wisdom and letting go. The Buddha saw in Yasodhara not only a resilient, noble-hearted woman, but also recognizing that their past separation, while painful, had become a shared opportunity for growth and transformation. Rahula, the boy who had never known his father, stood beside his mother, curiosity and emotion shining in his eyes. When he faced the Buddha, he saw not just a father, but a spiritual teacher, a guiding light. Filled with reverence, Rahula asked to join his father in monastic life, becoming the first young novice in the Sangha. This was not merely a continuity of bloodline, but a passing of the awakened path the Buddha had shown. The Buddha's return was more than a family reunion. It was the moment when the light of the Dharma began to permeate Kapilavatthu. Citizens, accustomed to lavish rituals and strict social hierarchies, now encountered a humble teacher who spoke the truth gently and acted with compassion. Instead of long sermons, the Buddha taught through mindful steps on alms rounds, kind eyes, and silent presence. His presence was a subtle reminder of simplicity, compassion, and wisdom. People of the capital began to question their own beliefs. What truly brings happiness, wealth, status, or inner peace? Little by little, the light of the Dharma reached every corner of the city, touching hearts across classes and ages. Moved by this gentle awakening, many from the royal family and nobility chose to ordain. Nanda, the Buddha's half-brother, was drawn by the call of awakening despite his palace life. Devadatta, Siddhartha's cousin, and also joined the Sangha, though his path would later encounter challenges. And Ananda, the Buddha's closest cousin and attendant, would become his devoted scribe and legacy keeper. Kapilavatthu, once defined by power and wealth, gradually became fertile ground for seeds of mindfulness. Silent alms rounds and simple yet profound teachings inspired confidence in the path of transformation. No longer divided by rank or wealth, all were embraced by the Buddha's equal gaze, illuminated by his compassion and insight. Dear friends, this video doesn't just tell the story of a beloved son's return, it celebrates the power of love and understanding. Even after misunderstandings and separation, a soft-hearted return can heal wounds, dissolve grievances, and spark transformation. The Buddha's return isn't just a visit. It's a symbol of renewal, of cultivating awakening in the very soil that once nourished the self. From his journey home, we learn many precious lessons: the gift of letting go, releasing expectations, softening grievances, and opening our hearts to each other in the present moment. We witness the power of simply being. Sometimes, presence without words is enough to mend the deepest wounds. And we see compassion and equality in action. Each person has their path, and the greatest ideal is to help one another find true meaning in life. Reflecting on the Buddha's path, we see that returning doesn't always mean going back to a place. It means returning to ourselves with open hearts and deeper understanding. This return not only heals personal relationships, but also marks the beginning of profound transformations in communities, society, and within each heart. If you resonate with the values shared today, ask yourself, have you returned to your true self? Have you let go of old hurts and opened your heart to those who've misunderstood you? And most importantly, do you have the courage to sow seeds of awakening in the very soil that nurtured your own being? Each of us has a homeland to return to, not just the place of our birth, but also place within where our heart is healed and our compassion blooms. That journey may be long and challenging, but its fruits are miraculous. Let your heart stay open to differences, misunderstandings, and even suffering. Let the light of the Dharma guide you back to what is true, simple, and good within each of us. This is the greatest gift the Buddha's return offered humanity, and it is the gift you can share with yourself and everyone you meet. Thank you for listening today. If these words touched your heart, let's continue together on the path of understanding and transformation, so each day may be lived in mindful peace and strength. May you always remain peaceful, joyful, and resilient as you explore your inner journey and share your love with the world. Until next time.